tragedy of what they did to him. Boo!
I know you. You're famous.
This isn't cosmetic surgery.
I have no idea what side effects you'll have.
Okay.
Sir, the seatbelt sign.
What's happening to me?
If your heart...
They stole my career, my money, my life. You wanna know how I feel? The people I trust.
Clayface is coming to Gotham, but this time the monster might be more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Data in Clayface 2026. Get ready for a dark DC story packed with mystery, horror, shocking transformations, and deadly secrets. Welcome to Filmy Review Hub. Today, we are breaking down the story, biggest moments, and fascinating facts you need to know. Matt Hagen Clayface is an upcoming American body horror movie based on the famous DC Comics character. The film is directed by James Watkins, with the screenplay written by Mike Flanagan and Hossein Amini. It will be the third movie in the new DC universe, DCU. The movie stars Tom Rhys-Harris as Matt Hagen, aka Clayface, along with Naomi Ackie, David Denchik, Max Minghella, and Eddie Marsan. The story follows Hagen, an actor whose face becomes badly disfigured. Desperate to fix his appearance and get his career back on track, he turns to a scientist played by Naomi Ackie, but things take a seriously dark turn when the scientist transforms his body into living clay. At first, this transformation might seem like the perfect solution. Hagen can change his appearance and reshape his body, giving him abilities that no normal human could have. But as his powers grow, the situation starts getting out of control. What begins as an attempt to save his career could turn into a terrifying nightmare. The movie is being produced by Matt Reeves and Lynn Harris, along with James Gunn and Peter Safran from DC Studios. With a mix of superhero action, horror, and body transformation, Clayface is shaping up to be a very different kind of DC movie. The idea for a Clayface movie had been around for years. Mike Flanagan had publicly talked about his interest in making a Clayface film and had also discussed the idea with DC Films during the era of the DC Extended Universe. In March 2023, Flanagan pitched his version of the project to the newly created DC Studios. The project was officially confirmed in December 2024, with Flanagan attached to write the movie. However, he couldn't direct it because of scheduling conflicts. In February 2025, James Watkins was hired to direct the film. By May, Hossein Amini was brought in to rewrite the screenplay. In June 2025, Tom Rhys-Harris was officially cast as Matt Hagen and Clayface. More actors joined the project over the following months, building up the movie's main cast. Production kicked off toward the end of August 2025 and continued until the beginning of November 2025. Filming took place in different locations around Liverpool, as well as on sound stages at Warner Bros. Studios Leavesden in England. Clayface is scheduled to hit theaters in the United States on October 23, 2026, with Warner Bros. Pictures handling the release. The movie will be part of the DC Universe's Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, making it an important addition to the new DCU. Back in January 2021, filmmaker Mike Flanagan publicly said that he was interested in making a standalone movie about the DC Comics character Clayface. Flanagan was a big fan of the character, especially the version seen in Batman, the animated series in the two-part episode Feet of Clay, where Clayface was voiced by Ron Perlman. Flanagan wanted his version of Clayface to be something different from a typical superhero movie. His idea was to make it a horror movie mixed with a thriller and a tragedy. He had previously talked about making a dark, horror-focused Clayface movie during a general meeting with John Berg, a producer at DC Films, when the DC Extended Universe was still around. However, Flanagan later said that the meeting didn't really go anywhere. According to him, DC wasn't interested enough to move forward with his idea at the time. Still, Flanagan made it clear that he was ready to jump back into the project if the opportunity ever came up. Then, in April 2022, Discovery Inc. and Warner Bros. Parent company Warner Media merged and became Warner Brothers Discovery. The new company was led by President and CEO David Zaslav, who wanted to reorganize DC and create a stronger structure similar to Marvel Studios. Zaslav began looking for someone who could lead DC in a role similar to Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios. In October 2022, filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran were announced as the co-chairs and co-CEOs of the newly created DC Studios. Only about a week after starting their new jobs, Gunn and Safran began working on plans for a new DC universe, which was designed as a kind of soft reboot of the previous DCEU. Around the same time, filmmaker Matt Reeves was developing several possible movies and TV shows connected to his standalone The Batman 2022 universe. These projects were still in the early stages and were expected to focus on different characters from Batman's famous group of enemies, including Clayface. At that point, the Batman and its potential spin-offs were expected to remain separate from Gunn and Safran's new DCU and exist under the DC Elseworlds label. Then, in March 2023, Mike Flanagan and his Intrepid Pictures partner Trevor Macy met with James Gunn and Peter Safran to pitch their idea for a Clayface movie. Their version was supposed to take the character in a different direction, with Clayface not simply being portrayed as a villain like he usually is in the comics. At the time, there were expectations that Clayface might appear in the Batman Part 2, but Flanagan's idea was not presented as a project connected to Matt Reeves' Batman movies. There was also some uncertainty about whether the Clayface movie would eventually become part of the new DCU or remain under the Elseworlds banner. Flanagan later said that the reports about the project were largely speculative. In May 2023, he also explained that the Clayface movie wasn't actually in development at that point and that he was focused on the 2023 Writers Guild of America strike. But things started getting interesting again in August 2023 when reports claimed that a Clayface movie was in development with Mike Flanagan attached as both the writer and director. Matt Reeves, James Gunn, and Peter Safran were also reported to be involved as producers. Meanwhile, Clayface officially became part of the new DC universe through the first season of the animated series Creature Commandos, which was released in 2024-2025 and became the first DCU project to arrive. Alan Tudyk provided Clayface's voice in the series. Tudyk had previously voiced a different version of Clayface in the animated show Harley Quinn. So, after years of ideas, pitches, changes, and behind-the-scenes development, Clayface was slowly making his way from a comic book villain into one of the more unusual and horror-focused characters in the new DC universe. The casting process for Clayface 2026 began with an extensive search for the actor who would embody Matt Hagen, the rising Hollywood star whose scientific ambition and personal desperation lead to a transformation into a shape-shifting clay-like monster driven by revenge and the erosion of identity. Director James Watkins and the producing team, including James Gunn, Peter Safran, and Matt Reeves, conducted a wide-ranging audition process that considered numerous established and emerging talents. Reports indicated that actors such as Jack O'Connell, George McKay, and Leo Woodall were among those evaluated for the central role. Ultimately, Welsh performer Tom Rhys-Harris was selected in mid-2025 after multiple rounds of readings chemistry tests and evaluations against other candidates. Watkins later described the process as thorough, noting that casting director Lucy Bevan facilitated the search and that Harris delivered a reading that stood out for its emotional range and physical adaptability, qualities essential for a character who must shift between human vulnerability and monstrous physicality. Gunn and Safran publicly expressed strong enthusiasm for the choice, stating they had been blown away by Harris's work and anticipated audiences would respond similarly to his performance. Tom Rhys Harris was born on the 8th October 1990 in Cardiff, Wales, the eldest of three siblings. His father worked as a head teacher at a Welsh language school and his mother taught English literature. Fluent in Welsh as his first language, Harris attended Ysgol Gaifan Gymraeg Plasmar before training at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, from which he later received an honorary associate designation. Early recognition came in 2012 when Screen International named him one of its stars of tomorrow, highlighting his stage work. His professional debut arrived while still in training with a small role in the musical comedy Hunky Dory 2011 opposite Minnie Driver. Theatre credits quickly followed, including West End appearances. In 2014, he made his West End debut in Jez Butterworth's Mojo at the Harold Pinter Theatre alongside Ben Whishaw, Rupert Grint, and Colin Morgan. Additional stage work included Polly Stenham's Hotel at the National Theatre and later a revival of Chekhov's The Seagull on screen. Harris built a steady body of television work. He appeared in the series Jekyll and Hyde 2015, Unforgotten 2018, and Britannia 2019. His most prominent early television role was as Manchester DJ Axel Collins in the Netflix series White Lines 2020. A character defined by self-destructive tendencies and charisma that foreshadowed the intensity required for Hagen. In 2022, he took dual roles as Eddie Walker and Liam McKenna in the Apple TV Plus thriller Suspicion. Film appearances included Slaughterhouse Rulez 2018, a supporting turn as Power Noel in Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman 2019, and roles in Sissy and I 2023 and Kandahar 2023. A guest lead as Ricky September in the 2024 Doctor Who episode Dot and Bubble further raised his profile. By the time of his Clayface casting, Harris had demonstrated a capacity for both naturalistic drama and heightened genre material. Watkins specifically noted a quality in Harris's face and presence that suggested the mutability of Clayface, comparing the actor's ability to shift micro-expressions to the range of performers such as James McAvoy. Production involved extensive practical effects and physical performance demands. Harris spent long days in prosthetics and movement work, often screaming for sequences that required vocal endurance. Co-star Naomi Ackie later recalled that the intensity of the material led the pair to break into song between takes as a way of resetting emotionally opposite Harris. Naomi Ackie was cast as Dr. Caitlin Kaur, sometimes listed in early reports as Caitlin Bates or Caitlin Kaur, the fringe scientist whose experimental treatment transforms Hagen's body into living clay. Ackie functions as both catalyst and emotional counterpart, with the relationship complicated by her concurrent involvement with a Gotham City police detective. Casting for the female lead involved reading sessions held in England around mid-July of the relevant production year. Ackie emerged as the top choice and entered formal talks shortly thereafter, with confirmation following within weeks. Born Naomi Sarah Ackie on the 22nd August 1991 in Walthamstow, London, to second-generation Grenadian immigrant parents, she grew up with an older brother and sister. Her father worked for Transport for London and her mother for the National Health Service. Ackie attended Walthamstow School for Girls and later trained at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, graduating in 2012 from the Acting Collaborative Device Theatre course. Early inspiration came from school productions and the Harry Potter films. Akkie's breakthrough arrived with the role of Anna, a silent and terrified housemaid in Lady Macbeth 2016, for which she won the British Independent Film Award for Most Promising Newcomer. Subsequent film work included Idris Elba's Yardi 2018 and the high-profile role of Jana, a former stormtrooper, in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker 2019. Television credits brought further acclaim. She played Bonnie in the second season of The End of the Fucking World 2019, earning a BAFTA Television Award for Best Supporting Actress and appeared in Steve McQueen's Small Axe anthology and Aziz Ansari's Master of None. In 2022, she portrayed Whitney Houston in the biopic I Wanna Dance with Somebody, a physically and emotionally demanding performance that required singing, weight fluctuation, and intensive preparation. Later roles included Frida in Blink Twice 2024, Lady in Sorry Baby 2020, and a part in Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17 2025. Akkie's screen presence often combines quiet intensity with underlying steel. Watkins and the producers saw in her the capacity to portray a scientist whose ambition borders on the ethically compromised while remaining emotionally accessible. On set, she and Harris developed a working rhythm that balanced the horror elements with moments of levity, and she has spoken of the collaborative environment fostered by Watkins's direction. Max Minghella joined the cast as John Borelli, also referenced as John Borelli, a Gotham City police detective romantically involved with Akkie's character. His presence introduces institutional investigation and personal conflict into the narrative of Hagen's transformation. Minghella entered final talks around the same period as Akkie's confirmation. Born Max Giorgio Choa Minghella on the 16th of September 1985 in Hampstead, London, he is the son of Oscar-winning director Anthony Minghella and choreographer Caroline Jane Choa. His father's Italian heritage and his mother's Hong Kong-born background with Chinese, Indian, Jewish, Parsi, English, Irish, and Swedish ancestry shaped a multicultural upbringing. Minghella spent time on his father's film sets as a child and received early exposure to the industry. He attended St. Anthony's Preparatory School and University College School before studying history at Columbia University, from which he graduated in 2009. He was also a member of the National Youth Theatre. Minghella's screen career began with small roles, including an uncredited appearance in his father's Cold Mountain 2003 and a part as George Clooney's son in Syriana 2005. Early leads included Art School Confidential 2006 and Elvis and Annabelle 2007 opposite Blake Lively. Wider recognition came with The Social Network 2010, in which he played Divya Narendra, one of the Harvard students who sued Mark Zuckerberg. The ensemble received a Screen Actors Guild nomination. Subsequent films included The Ides of March 2011, The Internship 2013, Horns 2013, and Spiral 2021. On television, he gained sustained visibility as Nick Blaine across multiple seasons of The Handmaid's Tale 2017-2025, a role that earned him a Primetime Emmy nomination. He has also directed, including the feature Teen Spirit 2018, starring Elle Fanning, and later projects. In Clayface, Minghella's detective occupies a position of relative moral stability that contrasts with Hagen's unraveling and coarse scientific overreach. The character's personal entanglement with the scientist creates layered stakes. Minghella has described Harris's central performance as mesmeric and noted the film's unusual focus on a single transformative arc. Eddie Marsan appears in a supporting capacity, though specific character details remained limited in early production disclosures. Some set observations suggested possible connections to Hagen's environment or disguises, given visual similarities in certain scenes. Marsan, born Edward Maurice Charles Marsan on 9th June 1968 in Stepney, East London, was raised in Bethnal Green in a working-class household. His father drove a lorry, and his mother worked as a school dinner lady and teaching assistant. He left school at 16, briefly apprenticed as a printer, and then trained at Mountview Academy of Theatre Arts, graduating 1991, and under Sam Cogan at what became the School of the Science of Acting, of which he is now a patron. Marsan is a humanist and was appointed patron of Humanists UK. His career encompasses more than 150 screen credits. Early television work included appearances in Casualty the Bill and Grange Hill. Film breakthroughs came through collaborations with Mike Leigh. Vera Drake 2004 earned him a British Independent Film Award for Best Supporting Actor. And Happy Go Lucky 2008 brought further awards from the London Film Critics Circle and the National Society of Film Critics for his portrayal of the volatile driving instructor Scott. Other notable roles include Inspector Lestrade in Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes films, the villain in Hancock 2008, parts in Gangs of New York, Mission Impossible 3 V for Vendetta, The World's End, Tyrannosaur, and Ray Donovan, More recent work includes Mitch Winehouse in Back to Black 2024, appearances in Fair Play, Operation Fortune, Ruse de Gay, and various prestige television projects. Marsan's ability to inhabit both ordinary and extreme characters makes him a natural fit for the grounded, often morally ambiguous figures that populate Gotham's underbelly in Watkins's vision. His presence adds texture and authenticity to the supporting ensemble. David Danzig rounds out the principal supporting players in an undisclosed role. Born Carl David Sebastian Danzig on the 31st October 1974 in Stockholm to Swedish parents, a social psychologist father and a film historian and producer mother, he carries Slovak ancestry through his paternal grandfather, who fled Nazi persecution. Danzig spent part of his youth in Denmark and studied in Brazil, where exposure to capoeira sparked an interest in performance. He trained at the Swedish National Academy of Mime and Acting, Teaterhögskolan in Stockholm, graduating in 2003 and appeared early at Dramaten. Danzig's breakthrough in Scandinavia came with the mini-series Lazemannen and the film A Soap 2006, for which he won a Robert Award for Best Actor. He has collected additional Robert and Goldberg Awards, including recognition for The Chestnut Man and The Perfect Patient. International visibility grew with roles in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy 2011 as Toby Esterhuis, The American, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo 2011. A Royal Affair 2012, The Homesman 2014, Top of the Lake, McMafia Chernobyl 2019, and Waldo Obruchev in the James Bond film No Time to Die 2021. Fluent in multiple languages, Danzig brings a distinctive European intensity and precision that complements the film's body horror and psychological elements. His casting expands the international flavor of the ensemble while providing a performer capable of subtle menace or intellectual detachment as required by the narrative. Beyond the principal names, the supporting cast fills out Gotham's social and criminal landscape with a mix of established character actors and emerging talents. Francesca Corni appears as Rosie, identified as a nightclub girl, contributing to the film's nightlife sequences that illustrate Hagen's pre-transformation world. Ruby Sear plays Teresa, Will Coban is credited as Bones, Joshua James appears as Cory Bowery, and Jake Curran is listed as Patches. These roles likely populate the criminal or underworld elements that precipitate Hagen's disfigurement and subsequent desperation. Nancy Carroll, Olivia Mae Barrett, Sonita Henry, Clara Finch, Tanya Moody, Holly, Sam Hazeldine Chris, Joanna Ribeiro, Mia, Gina Bramhill, Michael Schaefer, and numerous others including reporters, police officers, dancers, lawyers, and red carpet figures create a dense texture of Gotham society. Additional names such as Enzo Squilino Jr., Jimmy, Jack Colgrave Hurst, Salami Pete, Jessica Grundle TV presenter, and various background performers further populate the frames. Casting director Lucy Bevan assembled this ensemble with an eye toward authenticity and variety, drawing heavily from British and European talent while reflecting the film's UK-based production, which utilized locations in Liverpool and sound stages at Warner Brothers Legend Studios. The overall casting strategy prioritizes performers capable of emotional realism within a genre framework that emphasizes body horror, identity loss, and moral ambiguity. Harry's relative freshness as a leading man allows audiences to discover Hagen's transformation without the baggage of prior superhero associations. Akkie's proven range in both intimate drama and larger-scale projects anchors the scientific and romantic dimensions. Minghella's experience with morally complex authority figures suits the detective's position, while Marsan and Danzig supply the kind of textured supporting work that elevates ensemble pieces. Secondary players reinforce the lived-in quality of the setting, ensuring that the central metamorphosis occurs against a backdrop of credible human relationships and institutional pressures. Production notes indicate that the script, rooted in Mike Flanagan's story and refined by Hossein Amini, draws inspiration from the two-part Batman, the animated series episodes Feet of Clay, which focused on Matt Hagen's origin. The casting choices support a grounded, character-driven approach rather than a purely spectacle-oriented one. Watkins' prior work in tense, psychologically charged horror informed the selection of actors who could sustain intensity across both practical effects sequences and quieter dramatic moments. Harry's physical preparation involved close collaboration with the makeup and visual effects teams, including supervisor Angus Bickerton, to realize the progressive stages of Hagen's transformation. Aki's portrayal of scientific ambition required research into real world ethical boundary pushing figures, though the character remains original to the film. Minghella's detective work intersects with the investigation of Hagen's crimes, creating opportunities for confrontation and revelation. Marsan's and Denchik's contributions, though less publicly detailed in advance, provide counterweight of experience and unpredictability. The supporting ensemble's diversity of ages, backgrounds, and screen experience ensures that Gotham feels populated rather than schematic. Taken together, the cast reflects a deliberate balance between star power, sufficient to carry an original DC Studios feature, and the character actor depth necessary for a story centered on the dissolution of self. Watkins has emphasized that the film is as much a psychological study as a horror narrative. The performers selected are those whose previous work demonstrates the capacity to convey both exterior transformation and interior collapse. Additional layers of the ensemble include figures such as Sonita Henry as Clara Finch and Tanya Moody as Holly, roles that appear to occupy professional or personal spheres intersecting with the central characters. Smaller parts, reporters, some waiters, gang members, dancers, and court spectators, serve to illustrate the public and private consequences of Hagen's actions. The casting of actors with strong theater backgrounds, Harris, Aki, Marsan, among others, supports the film's emphasis on performance itself as a theme, given Hagen's original profession as an actor. This meta dimension is reinforced by the production, design, and cinematography choices that frame identity as something constructed and then destroyed. Volker Bertelmann's score and John Harris's editing further interact with the performances, but the foundation remains the human work of the cast. Lucy Bevan's selection process favored chemistry among the principal trio of Harris, Ackie, and Minghella, ensuring that the interpersonal dynamics remain compelling even as the physical horror escalates. In the broader context of DC Studios' approach under Gunn and Safran, the Clayface cast represents a preference for actors who can deliver grounded performances within heightened premises. The film's estimated budget of approximately $40 million and its R-rated sensibility allowed for a more intimate scale than larger franchise entries, placing greater weight on individual performances. Harry's relative lack of prior franchise association enables a clean introduction of this iteration of the character. Aki's rising profile after high-visibility projects positions her as a strong co-lead. Minghella's television recognition brings a different audience segment. Marsan and Denchik supply the kind of reliable excellence that elevates supporting roles into memorable contributions. The collective result is an ensemble calibrated for a story that prioritizes the cost of ambition, the fragility of identity, and the horror of irreversible change. Every major casting decision appears to have been made with an eye towards sustaining that focus across the full runtime. Production development and pre-production, the road to Clayface stretches back further than most DC Studios productions currently in the pipeline, with roots in a pitch that predates DC Studios itself by nearly 2 years. Filmmaker Mike Flanagan first spoke publicly about his interest in a standalone Clayface film in January 2021, citing the character's memorable two-part appearance in the 1992 Batman, the animated series story Fate of Clay, in which the villain was voiced by Ron Perlman. Flanagan envisioned the project as a genre hybrid, part horror film, part thriller, part tragedy, rather than a conventional superhero adventure. He had previously floated a similarly horror-leaning take on the character to DC Films producer John Berg during a general meeting, but by his own account that conversation went nowhere, with the studio declining to bite on the concept. Flanagan nonetheless made clear in later interviews that he remained ready to commit to the project whenever the opportunity arose. The broader corporate landscape shifted substantially in the intervening years. Discovery, Inc. and Warner Media, the parent company then overseeing Warner Brothers and DC, merged in April 2022 to form Warner Brothers Discovery under CEO David Zaslav, who began searching for a leadership structure for DC's film and television output akin to what Kevin Feige had built at Marvel Studios. That search concluded in late October 2022 with the appointment of writer-director James Gunn and producer Peter Safran as co-chairs and co-CEOs of a newly formed DC Studios. Within roughly a week of taking their new roles, the pair had already begun mapping out a fresh soft reboot continuity to be known as the DC Universe (DCU), intended as a successor to the prior DC Extended Universe. At around the same time, filmmaker Matt Reeves, fresh off his own standalone hit The Batman 2022, was independently meeting with writers and directors about a slate of potential spin-off films and series centered on members of Batman's rogues gallery, including Clayface, envisioned as existing in a separate Elseworlds continuity apart from Gunn and Safran's DCU. Flanagan's own pitch process began in earnest in March 2023, when he and his Intrepid Pictures producing partner Trevor Macy met with Gunn and Safran to present a version of Clayface in which the character would diverge from his traditionally villainous comic book portrayal. At the time, Clayface was still expected to potentially factor into Reeves' own sequel, The Batman Part 2, though Flanagan was careful not to pitch his film as connected to Reeves' separate continuity, and it remained genuinely unclear whether the project, if greenlit, would land within the new DCU or the Elseworlds banner. Flanagan publicly downplayed early reports about the meeting as entirely speculative, and by May 2023 said no active development was underway, noting that he was participating in the Writers Guild of America strike that halted much of the industry that year. Despite his public caution, trade reporting in August 2023 indicated the film was indeed moving forward in development, with Flanagan attached as writer and director and Reeves, Gunn, and Safran listed as producers. Clayface's introduction to the actual DCU predated the film itself. The character debuted in the DCU's first released project, the 2024-25 adult animated series Creature Commandos, voiced by Alan Tudyk, who had also voiced a different non-DCU version of the character in the earlier animated series Harley Quinn. DC Studios formally greenlit the film in December 2024, folding it into the DCU slate. Gunn later explained that he had not originally set out to produce a Clayface film at all, but was won over by the strength of Flanagan's pitch and the subsequent script drafts he produced. Despite Flanagan's years of investment in developing the project, first with Reeves, then with Gunn and Safran, he was ultimately unable to direct it himself due to scheduling conflicts with his other commitments, including the 2027 film The Exorcist, Martyrs, and a planned Carrie miniseries. Flanagan later described the situation as the first time in his career he had been forced to step away from a passion project purely because of a scheduling crunch, though he said he had enjoyed the process of developing the story across its various creative stewards. Just days after the green light was announced, the studio dated the film for a September 11, 2026 release and confirmed that Gunn, Safran, and Reeves would produce alongside Lynn Harris of Reeves' Sixth and Idaho Motion Picture Company. The project was designed from the outset to be made on a comparatively modest, stripped-down budget in the neighborhood of $40 million, a fraction of the cost of the DCU's larger Superman-focused tentpoles. Safran, discussing the film's tone publicly, was explicit that it would not be played campy, instead invoking the 1986 David Cronenberg body horror classic The Fly as the more appropriate tonal touchstone. The search for a director began almost immediately. DC Studios was reportedly eyeing J.A. Bayona for the job by the end of 2020. By mid-February 2025, the studio was hearing formal pitches from a short list of candidates that included James Watkins, with casting for the film already underway even before a director was locked, on the expectation that whoever was hired would join that process once attached. Argentine horror director Damian Rugna was also approached but ultimately passed, citing unfamiliarity with the character and a lack of interest in directing a superhero film. Reporting varied on how seriously other names were considered. Deadline listed Jeff Wardlow among the directors in the mix, though The Hollywood Reporter later stated he was never genuinely under consideration. Location plans were also in flux at this stage. Unlike most other DC Studios productions, which had increasingly centered production in the United Kingdom, Early reporting floated the possibility of shooting in North America given the film's smaller budget, though the January 2025 Southern California wildfires cast some uncertainty over Los Angeles as a viable base. The project was described early on as a Hollywood horror story centered on the original comic book incarnation of Clayface, with a narrative expected to span both a Hollywood setting and Gotham City itself. James Watkins entered formal negotiations to direct on February 21, 2025, a day after delivering his final pitch presentation to Gunn. Days later, Gunn and Safran publicly confirmed Watkins was in talks, that casting was underway, and that the film would be folded in the DCU's newly branded Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters slate. Safran described the project as an origin story for a classic Batman villain that the studio specifically wanted to tell, while Gunn expressed hope that the finished film could win over horror fans who might otherwise have no interest in DC properties, explicitly labeling it a body horror film. Gunn also clarified that despite his stated preference for using the same actors to portray characters across DCU film, television, and animated projects, Alan Tudyk would not be reprising his Creature Commando's voice role in live action, since Clayface was not considered Tudyk's primary DCU character, that distinction instead belonging to Tudyk's role as Alex Sartorius' Dr. Phosphorus. Gunn further stated that the events of the film would take place before the 2025 film Superman, while emphasizing that its standalone story would nonetheless be very connected to the DCU's larger ongoing narrative. Casting rumors swirled throughout this period. Journalist Jeff Snyder reported in late February 2025 that Daniel Radcliffe was among two actors being eyed for the title role, a claim Gunn personally and directly refuted, calling it false. The following month, Snyder also reported that an additional writer had been brought on to perform a significant pass on Flanagan's existing script. That writer was confirmed by May 2025 to be Hossein Amini, who had previously co-created the television series McMafia with Watkins. His hiring came around the same time reports indicated the start of filming had been pushed back to that October. Flanagan, addressing his own reduced involvement, said he expected Watkins to make the film his own, while voicing hope that the finished product would remain true to the spirit of his original vision. The search for a lead actor stretched on for months. Tom Blythe, George Mackay, Jack O'Connell, and Leo Woodall were reported to be finalists who read for the title role in early June 2025, but Gunn and Safran ultimately were not ready to commit to any of them and opted to widen the search further. Later that same month, Gunn announced that relative newcomer Tom Rhys Harris had landed the role following what he described as a long and exhaustive search. By that point, Amini had completed multiple additional drafts of the screenplay, though Gunn maintained that the underlying story remained entirely Flanagan's, with only minor refinements made to finalize the shooting script. Gunn also confirmed around this time that the film was being made with an R rating in mind from the Motion Picture Association, and that the story would center on Matt Hagen, the second character in DC Comics history to take on the Clayface identity. Filming was intended to take place at DC Studios' dedicated UK production hub at Warner Bros. Studios Leavesden, and by early July 2025, the start of production had reportedly been moved up again, this time to the following month. Casting of the film's female lead followed a similarly deliberate process. During the week of July 14, 2025, reading sessions were held in England for the role, from which Naomi Ackie emerged as the clear frontrunner, entering formal negotiations shortly afterward. Her casting as the scientist responsible for Clayface's transformation was confirmed roughly a month later, alongside news that Max Minghella was in final talks to join the cast as a Gotham City police detective romantically involved with Akkie's character. Behind the camera, James Price came aboard as production designer, having previously collaborated with Watkins on his 2024 film Speak No Evil, while Keith Madden signed on as costume designer. Filming principal photography on Clayface began on August 31, 2025 in Liverpool, England, produced under the deliberately unrevealing working title Corinthians. Rob Hardy served as cinematographer, returning to the DCU fold after having shot Supergirl 2026. The start date represented the third shift in the film's production timeline, having previously been targeted for the middle of 2025 and then pushed to October before ultimately beginning in late August. Liverpool was chosen in part because of its prior service as a filming location for Reeves' The Batman, giving the production a degree of continuity with the DCU's broader visual approach to Gotham City, even though Clayface exists as a standalone story. Location shooting took place extensively throughout Liverpool city centre, with Gotham-themed vehicles stored at the city's former Merseyside police headquarters during the shoot. On the first day of filming, crews shot scenes in Derby Square, using the Queen Elizabeth II Law Courts building to stand in for a Gotham hospital, while a stretch of North John Street was redressed to resemble the Gotham Docks, and the Liverpool Central Library doubled as the Gotham City Crown Court. Eddie Marsan's involvement in the cast in an undisclosed role was revealed during this stretch of on-location filming. Additional Liverpool area filming locations included the Pierhead waterfront and the old Birkenhead tunnel, while production also moved across the River Mersey to the town of Wallasey, filming at the Seacombe ferry terminal. On September 11, 2025, the production filmed along the Marine Promenade outside the Adventureland amusement park in the nearby suburb of New Brighton, and a private house on Tolmark Street in the area was dressed to resemble an American home for a separate sequence. Once location work concluded, the production shifted to soundstage work at Warner Brothers Studios Leavesden, where the bulk of the film's interior and effects-heavy sequences were completed. Principal photography wrapped on November 1, 2025, roughly 9 weeks after it began. Reporting during the shoot offered glimpses into the film's tone and content. In an interview given while filming was still underway, Max Minghella confirmed that the finished film would not shy away from its body horror elements, indicating a commitment to the visceral, physically transformative violence associated with the character's comic book history rather than a softened, more family-friendly treatment. Post-production editing duties were handled by John Harris, a frequent collaborator of director James Watkins on his prior projects. By January 2026, with editing well underway, James Gunn indicated publicly that Watkins was in the process of finalizing his director's cut, with DC Studios producing team, Gunn, Safran and Reeves among them, set to weigh in once that cut was complete. Following the collaborative approval process the studio has applied to its other DCU releases, the film's release date shifted during this stage of post-production. Warner Brothers announced in February 2026 that the film's originally scheduled September 11, 2026 release would be pushed back to October 23, 2026, repositioning it to better capitalize on the Halloween season, a strategy that trade press explicitly compared to the release patterns used for horror-adjacent event films like Halloween Kills 2021 and Black Phone 2 2025. At the time of that announcement, David Danzig's involvement in the film in an undisclosed role was also revealed. Danzig had previously worked with Watkins on Macmafia, an early test screening of the film, reported on in mid-June 2026 by industry outlets tracking DC Studios productions, indicated a broadly positive audience response, with viewers reportedly drawing comparisons to films including Joker, Vanilla Sky, The Substance, and more unexpectedly, The Incredible Hulk. That test cut reportedly ran approximately 1 hour and 50 minutes. Details said to originate from attendees of the screening indicated that Batman does not appear or get referenced anywhere in the finished film, and that no other DCU characters make cameo appearances. Reports also suggested the film avoids depicting full-body transformations for its title character, instead having Matt Hagen's limbs shift and distort during moments of rage for what were described as out-of-control attacks, and indicated the film would not include a post-credits scene, an unusual choice for a DC Studios release, with the finished product said to feel deliberately standalone, unexpectedly funny in places, and heavily R-rated, featuring significant gore and nudity. Around the same time, reports emerged that Aaron Paul, known for his role as Jesse Pinkman on Breaking Bad, had joined the cast in a brief and minor role. One report specifically identified his character as Matt Hagen's father, appearing in what was described as a narratively minor cameo. As of mid-2026, that casting had been reported by outlets covering the production but had not been directly confirmed by Warner Brothers or DC Studios. With the release of the film's teaser trailer in April 2026, several previously undisclosed cast members were revealed to be appearing in the film, including Nancy Carroll, Joshua James, Francesca Corney, Ruby Sear, and Will Coban, expanding the picture of the film's supporting ensemble beyond its top billed leads. The film's executive producers were named as Michael E. Uslan, Chantal Nongvo, Lars P. Winter, Rafi Krohn, and Paul Ritchie. Music composer Volker Bertelmann, an Academy Award winner best known for his scores for All Quiet on the Western Front and Conclave, was confirmed by May 2026 to have composed the score for Clayface, according to a report from Film Music Reporter. His involvement marked a departure from the composers who have scored other recent DCU releases, and his selection was seen by trade observers as consistent with DC Studios' stated intention to give Clayface a tonal identity distinct from the studio's more traditionally heroic scores, leaning instead into the unsettling body horror register the filmmakers have repeatedly emphasized in describing the project. As of this writing, further specifics about the score's recording sessions, instrumentation, or any accompanying soundtrack album release plans had not been made public. Resil's theatrical Clayface is scheduled to be released theatrically in the United States by Warner Brothers Pictures on October 23, 2026. The film was originally dated for September 11th, 2026, but was moved back to the October date in February 2026, specifically to position it within the Halloween season, a corridor that has historically rewarded horror-oriented theatrical releases. The film will be released as the third installment in the DC Universe's Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters slate, following the 2025 film Superman and the 2026 film Supergirl, and arriving shortly after the DCU television series Lanterns, which is expected to air on HBO Max earlier in the same year. Because of its horror framing and comparatively adult content, Clayface is positioned within the DCU's release calendar as something of an outlier, the only entry in the franchise's early years not centered on a more traditionally heroic figure like Superman, and one explicitly billed by Gunn as evidence that not every DC Studios production would share a uniform house style or tone. Marketing built steadily through the first half of 2026. A first look at Tom Rees Harrison character was shown to attendees at CinemaCon, followed by the release of an official teaser trailer on April 22, 2026, which depicted Matt Hagen recovering in a hospital bed beneath heavy bandages before flashing forward to scenes of his transformation and ensuing rampage of revenge. Warner Brothers released a longer official trailer on July 22, 2026, timed to overlap with that week's San Diego Comic-Con, despite the studio not holding a formal panel presence at the convention itself. Per DC Studios' own official synopsis material, the film unravels one man's horrifying descent from rising Hollywood star to revenge-filled monster in a story built around themes of lost identity, corrosive love, and the ethical costs of unchecked scientific ambition. As of this writing, in late August 2026, the film's theatrical release remains roughly 2 months away, with further marketing, promotional appearances, and press activity expected to continue building through the September and October lead up to its debut home media, because Clayface has not yet had its theatrical release. No home media release date, format details, or distribution plans have been announced as of this writing. Given Warner Bros.' standard practice for its theatrical slate, a home entertainment release, most likely encompassing digital, Blu-ray, and 4K Ultra HD editions, would be expected to follow several months after the film's October 23, 2026 theatrical debut, consistent with the release windows the studio has applied to its other 2026 DC Studios titles. Though no official dates have been confirmed by either Warner Brothers Pictures or DC Studios at this stage, reception box office as Clayface has not yet been released theatrically. There are no confirmed box office results to report. The film's $40 million range production budget is considerably smaller than that of most other DC Studios releases, reflecting the deliberately modest, stripped-down approach the studio adopted from the outset. and industry observers have generally characterized the film's commercial ambitions as more measured than those of the DCU's Superman-centered tentpoles, given its harder-edged horror framing and R rating. Formal pre-release tracking figures, comparable to the kind typically published by trade outlets like Deadline, Variety, and The Hollywood Reporter in the weeks immediately preceding a wide release, had not yet emerged as of late August 2026, with the film's October 23 debut still roughly 2 months out. Some trade commentary has noted that the film's positioning within the Halloween corridor, a release window that has proven lucrative for horror titles such as Halloween Kills and Black Phone 2, reflects a deliberate strategy by Warner Brothers to maximize the film's commercial potential by aligning it with a period when horror audiences are historically most engaged, though whether that strategy translates into strong ticket sales will not be known until the film actually opens. Critical response. Formal critical reviews for Clayface had not yet been published as of this writing, since the film remains unreleased and has not yet screened for press. The most substantive indicator of audience reaction available prior to release comes from reports of an early test screening held and reported on in mid-2026, which described a broadly enthusiastic response from the assembled audience. Attendees reportedly compared the film's tone and content to a range of other titles, including Joker, Vanilla Sky, The Substance, and somewhat unexpectedly, The Incredible Hulk, suggesting a film that blends body horror imagery with a psychologically driven character study rather than conventional superhero spectacle. It should be emphasized that such test screening reports are unofficial, sourced from industry outlets relaying second-hand accounts rather than studio-confirmed material, and are not equivalent to formal critical reviews. They offer an early, informal signal of audience reaction rather than a reliable predictor of the reception the finished film will receive from critics once it opens. As with box office performance, a genuine picture of the film's critical standing will only emerge once review embargoes lift closer to its October 23, 2026 theatrical release. Reviews number 1, The Movie My Life. Clayface 2026. New trailer starring Tom Rhys-Harris, Naomi Ackie, Max Minghella. Directed by James Watkins, Clayface is a new sci-fi horror thriller about an actor who becomes a revenge-filled being after his identity and humanity are stripped. The actor in question, Matt Hagen, is played by Tom Rhys-Harris. Additional key cast includes Max Minghella, Naomi Ackie, and Eddie Marsan. What cruelty is this? As you likely already know, the chances of me watching this aren't great, but the special effects and makeup, as horrifying as they are so damn creative, no? Also, the premise is strong for what is an actor without their face after all. Not nothing, of course, but it's certainly very far from an ideal situation. The very least I will do is check out the official non-teaser trailer. Are you as intrigued by this as I am? Probably more so if you really like horror. David Denchik, Francesca Carney, Ruby Sear, Will Coburn, Joshua James, Jake Curran, Derek Xiao and Lorraine Tai also star. Clayface release dates September 11th, 2026 UK's Happy Film Loving G related. No spoilers, movie reviews, commentary and interesting new movie trailers. Discover more from The Movie My Life. Subscribe now to keep reading and get access to the full archive. Continue reading. Number 2 Clayface 2026. Details for in theaters. Special offer: join the WB Horror Fright Club today. Buy tickets, reap the rewards, enter if you dare, theaters near. Calendar for movie times is selected. Movie times calendar, loading calendar, filter movie times by screen format is selected. Know when tickets go on sale. We'll notify you when tickets go on sale in your area and more for Clayface 2026. Frequently asked questions. WB Horror Fright Club. Join the WB Horror Fright Club today. Buy tickets to see the latest spine-tingling Warner Bros. Horror films and unlock exclusive perks automatically. Limited time offer while supplies last. Not for resale. Offer only available from 3/11/2026 until the last released movie defined below is no longer available in theaters. Log into your Fandango account on fandango.com or via the Fandango app beginning at 9 MBT on 3/11/2026. And buy at least one ticket to each of They Will Kill You, Lee Cronin's The Mummy when ticket become available, Evil Dead Burn when ticket become available. and Clayface when tickets become available, each a movie at participating Fandango theaters. The purchases do not have to be in the same transaction. You must be logged into the same Fandango account when you purchase each of your tickets to the 4 movies to qualify for the grand reward defined below. Fandango is free to join. You must be 18 years of age or older to create a Fandango account. After your purchase of at least one ticket to They Will Kill You, you will receive a post-purchase email with one digital exclusive behind-the-scenes look at They Will Kill You. After your purchase of at least one ticket to Lee Cronin's The Mummy, you will receive a post-purchase email with one digital never-before-seen inside look at Lee Cronin's The Mummy. After your purchase of at least one ticket to Evil Dead Burn, you will receive a post-purchase email with a to-be-determined digital reward. After your purchase of at least one ticket to Clayface, you will receive a to-be-determined digital reward. After you have purchased at least one ticket to each of the 4 movies, you will receive a post-purchase email with the grand reward, consisting of one Fandango at home promotional code that is good for the purchase and not the rental of the 5 WB horror films digital bundle, which includes Evil Dead Rise, IT Chapter 2, The Conjuring, and The Shining for $5 in my offers in your account on gothome.com and via participating Fandango at home apps. Code expires on and must be used by 90 days after tickets go on sale for the latest to release movie. Code expiration date is subject to change in the event of a movie release date change. You must have a Fandango at Home account to redeem your code on Fandango at Home. Fandango at Home is free to join. You must be 18 years of age or older to open a Fandango at Home account. Credit card may be required for transactions on fandangoathome.com. Codes are one-time use only. You may have to pay taxes additionally. If lost or stolen, codes cannot be replaced. Codes have no cash value except as required by law. Codes are not for resale, void if sold or exchanged, void where prohibited, not valid with any other offer valid in the US only, excluding US territories and where prohibited by law. All movies and release date is subject to change. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice, including the right to substitute any movie and or related bonus materials in its sole discretion. This offer and redemption of the codes are subject to Fandango's terms and policies and privacy policy at http://www.fandango.com. terms and policies and https://redeem.fandango.com policies term of service. They Will Kill You 2026 Warner Bros. License. All rights reserved. Lee Cronin's The Mummy 2026 Warner Bros. And all rights reserved. Clayface and TMDC 2026 Warner Bros. And all rights reserved. Evil Dead Burn 2026 Warner Bros. And all rights reserved. Evil Dead Rise 2023 Pacific Renaissance Evil Dead 21 Limited and Blade Rise Limited 2022 IT 2026 Warner Bros. Entertainment Inc. IT Chapter 2 2026 Warner Bros. Entertainment Inc. The Conjuring first film 2012 Warner Bros. Entertainment Inc. The Shining 1980 Warner Bros. Entertainment Inc. Special offer. Buy a ticket to the Dog Stars, get a chance to win a stargazing trip for 2 to Colorado. No purchase or app necessary. Purchase does not increase chances of winning. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and DC 18 years of age and older, provided however that prize winner must be 21 plus or 18 plus and accompanied by a guest that is 21 plus, void where prohibited. And September 6, 2026, visit https://fandangomovietickets.com. Call Adore Stargazing Sweepstakes for official rules, odds and details. Sponsor Fandango Media LLC. 10 Universal City Plaza, Universal City, CA 91608. Special offer. Buy a ticket to Avengers Doomsday. Get a chance to win a trip to the premiere. No purchase or app necessary. Purchase does not increase chances of winning. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and DC, 18 years of age and older, provided however that at least one person traveling must be 21 plus, void where prohibited. Ends November 9, 2026. Visit https://www.fandangomovie.tickets. Super Premier Sweepstakes. Sponsor Fandango Media LLC, 10 Universal City Plaza, Universal City, CA 91608. Special offer. Buy a ticket to Spider-Man. Brand new day. Get $5 off the pre-order of the Spider-Man 4 movie collection. Limited time offer. Log into your account on fandango.com or the Fandango app and purchase between 12/1/A1/26 and 11:59 p.m. PT on 9/18/26 at least one movie ticket to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Purchaser will receive a post-purchase email containing one Fandango promotional code that is good for $5 off the purchase and not the rental of the pre-order of the Spider-Man 4 movie collection in my offers in your account on HTTP fandangoathome.com and via participating Fandango apps. You must have and be logged into your Fandango account to receive and redeem a code. Fandango is free to join. You must be 18 years of age or older to create a Fandango account. Credit card may be required for transactions on fandango.com. Code expires on and must be used by 9/23/26 at 11:59 p.m. PT, and the Spider-Man 4 movie collection will be added to your library when it is made available by the studio. Limit 1 per transaction. You may have to pay taxes additionally. One-time use only. Void where prohibited. If lost or stolen, cannot be replaced. Offer is non-transferable and cannot be combined with any other offer or discount. No cash value except as required by law. Not for resale, void if sold or exchanged. Offer valid in the US only, excluding US territories and where prohibited by law. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice. This offer and redemption of the code are subject to Fandango's terms and policies and privacy policy at http://www.fandango. More terms and policies. Bring a friend to see the Dog Stars in IMAX. Buy 2 IMAX tickets with the code DOGS to redeem your special offer. The Dog Stars IMAX Fan Club member promotion offer. The offer begins 8/24/26 and will run for a limited time while supplies last. To be eligible, you must have an active paid fan club membership at the time of purchase. Purchase two or more IMAX tickets to see the Dog Stars on the Fandango website or mobile app and enter promo code DOGS at checkout. Upon successful entry of a valid promo code, a maximum of $20 will be deducted from the total order. The offer is valid for IMAX showtimes only and does not apply to standard 3D or other formats. Offer valid in the US only, excluding US territories and where prohibited by law. Limit 1 redemption per person. Adjustments to prior purchases are not permitted. Taxes may apply and are not discounted. The offer may not be combined with any other offer, discount, or promotion unless otherwise stated. Fandango reserves the right to withdraw or modify this offer at any time, in its sole discretion and without notice. Additional terms and conditions apply, including Fandango's terms and policies at www.fandango.com and policies. Special offer. Buy a ticket to By Any Means Get the Mark Wahlberg 5 movie collection for $7.99. Limited your account fund on fandango.com or the Fandango app and purchase between 6 a.m. PT on 8/17/26 and 11:59 p.m. PT on 9/20/26, at least one movie ticket to By Any Means. Purchaser will receive a post-purchase email containing one Fandango promotional code that is good for the purchase and not the rental of the Mark Wahlberg 5 movie collection for $7.99 in my offers in your account on HTTP fandangoathome.com and via participating Fandango apps. You must have and be logged into your Fandango account to receive and redeem a code. Fandango is free to join. You must be 18 years of age or older to create a Fandango account. Code expires on and must be used by 11:59 p.m. PT. Limit 1 per transaction. You may have to pay taxes additionally. One-time use only. Void where prohibited. If lost or stolen, cannot be replaced. Offer is non-transferable and cannot be combined with any other offer or discount. No cash value except as required by law. Not for resale, void if sold or exchanged. Offer valid in the US only, excluding US territories and where prohibited by law. Credit card may be required for transactions on fandangoathome.com. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice. This offer and redemption of the code are subject to Fandango's terms and policies and privacy policy at http://www.fandango.com.terms and policies. Gift with purchase. Buy a ticket to Spa Weekend and get $35 off a Resort Pass, Day Pass or Spa Pass with the purchase of any Resort Pass, Day or Spa Pass at full price. Limited time offer while supplies last. Log into your account on Fandango.com or the Fandango app between 9 a.m. PT on 8/11/26 and 11:59 p.m. PT on 9/7/26 and purchase at least one ticket to see Spa Weekend at a participating Fandango theater. Purchaser will receive a post-purchase email containing one Resort Pass promotional code that is good for either up to $35 of the purchase of one Resort Pass Spa Pass with the purchase of one full price Resort Pass Spa Pass, or up to $35 of the purchase of one Resort Pass Day Pass with the purchase of one full price Resort Pass Day Pass. Code expires and must be redeemed by 11:59 p.m. PT on 8/11/27. Code is one-time use only. Limit 1 code redemption per person. Code is non-transferable, has no cash value, and cannot be combined with other offers or promotions. Valid at participating Resort Pass properties only, subject to availability. You must have and be logged into your Fandango account to receive a code. Fandango is free to join. You must be 18 years of age or older to create a Fandango account. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice. This offer is subject to Fandango's terms and policies at http://www.fandango.com.ms and policies. Redemption of the code. Your Resort Pass booking and use of any Resort Pass services is subject to Resort Pass's terms and policies at www.resortpass.com.ms conditions. Special offer. Get the Practical Magic 2 Popcorn Bucket Bundle and receive a movie ticket to Practical Magic 2 plus an exclusive Margarita Popcorn Bucket. Practical Magic 2 Popcorn Bucket Bundle is non-refundable. Domestic shipping will be added at checkout. Limited time offer while supplies last. Movie ticket is non-refundable and non-exchangeable. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice. Popcorn not included. You must be 18 years of age or older to purchase a bundle. The Margarita Popcorn Bucket will begin shipping in September. Please use a physical US address where the Margarita Popcorn Bucket shipment can be delivered. Once carrier confirms delivery, Fandango is not responsible for lost or stolen deliveries. See full terms and conditions at https://store.fandango. Compound guard through Practical Magic 2 Margarita Popcorn Bucket. Special offer. Buy a ticket to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Get $5 off the pre-order of the Spider-Man 4 movie collection. Limited time offer. Log into your account on Fandango. Calm or the Fandango app and purchase between 12:01 a.m. PT on 8/21/26 and 11:59 p.m. PT on 10/5/26 at least 1 movie ticket to Insidious out of the further. Purchaser will receive a post-purchase email containing one Fandango promotional code that is good for $5 off the purchase and not the rental of the pre-order of the Insidious 6 movie collection in My Offers in your account on stream. Fandango.com and via participating Fandango apps, you must have and be logged into your Fandango account to receive and redeem a code. Fandango is free to join. You must be 18 years of age or older to create a Fandango account. Credit card may be required for transactions on fandango.com. Code expires on and must be used by 10/10/26 at 11:59 p.m. PT, and the Insidious 6 movie collection will be added to your library when it is made available by the studio. Limit 1 per transaction. You may have to pay taxes additionally. One-time use only. Void where prohibited. If lost or stolen, cannot be replaced. Offer is non-transferable and cannot be combined with any other offer or discount. No cash value except as required by law. Not for resale. Void if sold or exchanged. Offer valid in the 50 United States DC and Puerto Rico only, excluding other US territories and where prohibited by law. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice. This offer and redemption of the code are subject to Fandango's terms and policies and privacy policy at http://www.fandango. Terms and policies. Gift with purchase. Don't miss out on the action. Get 10% off your purchase on the A24 shop when you buy a ticket to Onslaught. Limited time offer while supplies last. Log into your account on Fandango. Or the Fandango app between 9 a.m. PT on 8/20/26 and 11:59 p.m. PT on 9/14/26 and purchase at least one ticket to see Onslaught at a participating Fandango theater. Purchaser will receive a post-purchase email containing one A24 shop promotional code that is good for 10% off any order at the A24 shop. Code expires and must be redeemed by 11:59 p.m. PT on 2/19/27. Code is one-time use only. Limit 1 code redemption per person on the A24 shop. You must have and be logged into your Fandango account to receive a code. Fandango is free to join. You must be 18 years of age or older to create Fandango account. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice. This offer is subject to Fandango's terms and policies at http://www.fandango. Com subject terms and policies, and the code tab is at https://shop24films.com. Policies stand of service. Special offer. Get the Odyssey signature set and receive one movie ticket to the Odyssey Plus, an exclusive premium collectible print. The Odyssey signature set is non-refundable. Domestic shipping will be added at checkout. Limited time offer while supplies last. Movie ticket is non-refundable and non-exchangeable. Fandango reserves the right to modify or cancel this offer at any time and without notice. You must be 18 years of age or older to purchase a bundle. The premium collectible art print will begin shipping in July. Please use a physical US address where the collectible art print shipment can be delivered. Once carrier confirms delivery, Fandango is not responsible for lost or stolen deliveries. See full terms and conditions redeem.fandango.com/odyssey signature set. Number 32 and 26 Clayface movie is confirmed to include three things never seen before in a DC movie. James Gunn's DCU is set to introduce its own Batman villain spin-off movie, and it has the potential to stand out. DC Studios' Clayface is poised to be a unique entry in the DCU's Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, introducing new elements and diverging from the usual superhero spectacle that comic book movies are known for. The upcoming Batman villain spin-off movie is the third theatrical movie in James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU, and it will focus on the origin story of up-and-coming actor Matt Hagen before his eventual and tragic transformation into Clayface. Aside from its intriguing focus on one of Batman's most fascinating villains, what makes Clayface a compelling entry is that it leans into a tragic body horror narrative, with horror filmmaker Mike Flanagan as a writer, ultimately elevating it as a project distinct from other live-action DC movies. Clayface is set to release on October 23 after being initially slated to premiere on September 11. Every unique element of Clayface that sets it apart from other DC projects. First appearance of Clayface in a live-action film. Clayface marks the first time that the titular Batman villain will be showcased on the big screen in live action. This is a significant milestone for the character because Clayface is known as a notable foe of the Dark Knight, and his proper debut in a movie would give a new generation of fans a chance to learn more about him before his eventual showdown with the DCU's Batman. Seeing Clayface on the big screen is also a testament to the bold risks and diverse approach of James Gunn's DCU, which could set the stage for more character-driven stories, whether for heroes or villains in the future. The DCU's Gotham City. While the DCU's Gotham City had already been seen in animated form in Creature Commandos, Clayface marks the first time the iconic city will appear in a movie set in James Gunn's DC universe, which is quite massive from a shared universe standpoint. Seeing the DCU's version of Gotham City in Clayface allows the franchise to establish certain revelations about Batman and his other villains, possibly laying the groundwork for how long the Dark Knight has been active and how many villains have already surfaced in this new universe. It would also give fans a chance to distinguish the difference between DCU's Gotham and Matt Reeves' version of the city, finally setting these two universes apart and debunking fan theories that Robert Pattinson's Batman would be the same one in Gunn's version. Pure horror. Clayface is also the first DC movie to be a full-on R-rated horror film, giving the DCU project a chance to end superhero fatigue. While Swamp Thing and Aquaman did have horror elements, Clayface took a huge risk by going all in with the genre, embracing its totally different nature that sets the project and the DCU apart from the MCU and even the former DCEU. In February 2025, DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn spoke with Cinema Blend to offer high praise for Mike Flanagan's script for Clayface, noting that it was a really excellent body horror script. One of the things Peter and I talked about when we first got the script was if we were producing movies 5 years ago, like when we were doing Belko Experiment and all of that stuff, and somebody had brought us this horror script called Clayface about this guy, we would have died to have produced this movie. Because it was just a really excellent body horror script, and the fact that it's in the DCU is just a plus dot, while reiterating its R rating Gunn didn't hold back when he described Clayface as pure horror and it is so real and true and psychological. Then we have Clayface, pure fucking horror, like totally real. Their version of that movie, it is so real and true and psychological and body horror and gross. It's definitely R-rated. Clayface's deep dive into pure horror proves that the DCU can naturally pivot to extreme genre even while set in the same continuity as other light-hearted movies like the David Corenswet-led Superman. A great script reigns supreme in the DCU, allowing proven filmmakers to take creative risks and tell stories in this space. Don't miss out on DCU news. Add the direct as a preferred source on Google. Lat News Trending. Number 4, Clayface 2026 Movie Trailer 2. Tom Reese Harry's new face is problematic in DC's horror thriller Clayface Trailer 2. Warner Brothers has released the second movie trailer for Clayface 2026 cast and crew James Watkins. Clayface Trailer 2 stars Tom Reese Harry's Naomi Ackie, David Denchik, Max Minghella, Eddie Marsan, Nancy Carroll, and Joshua James. Mike Flanagan and Hossein Amini wrote the screenplay for Clayface, story by Flanagan based on characters from DC. The film is produced by Matt Reeves, Lynn Harris, James Gunn, and Peter Safran, with Michael E. Uslan, Rafi Kron, Paul Ritchie, Chantal Nongvo, and Lars P. Winter executive producing. DC Studios is presenting in association with Domain Entertainment, a 6th and Idaho production. Plot synopsis. Clayface 2026 plot synopsis. Clayface unravels one man's horrifying descent from rising Hollywood star to revengeful monster in a story that explores the loss of one's identity and humanity, corrosive love, and the dark underbelly of scientific ambition. Clayface 2026 teaser trailer. Tom Reese Harris is the gooey Gotham City villain in DC's horror film April 20 Sue 2026. Supergirl 2026 movie trailer 3. Millie Alcock takes off on an intergalactic adventure June 3, 2026 on movie trailers. A movie trailer is a promotional video designed to introduce a film's premise, tone, and key moments in a condensed format. Trailers are typically assembled from selected scenes and music to generate audience interest while avoiding major spoilers. Most modern trailers follow a 3-act structure to maximize emotional impact. A trailer, also known as a preview or attraction video, is a commercial advertisement originally for a feature film that is going to be exhibited in the future at a movie theater Ulinema. It is a product of creative and technical work. Trailers consist of a series of selected shots from the film being advertised. Since the purpose of this advertisement is to attract an audience to the film, these excerpts are usually drawn from the most exciting, funny, or otherwise noteworthy parts of the film, but in abbreviated form and usually without producing spoilers. For this purpose, the scenes are not necessarily in the order in which they appear in the film. This type of ad has to achieve that in less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the maximum length allowed by the MPA. Each studio or distributor is allowed to exceed this time limit once a year if they feel it is necessary for a particular film. In the United States, there are dozens of companies, many of which are in Los Angeles and New York City, that specialize in the creation of film trailers. The trailer may be created at agencies such as the Cimarron Group, Mojo, The Ant Farm, Ben Kane, Aspect Ratio, Flyer Entertainment, Trailer Park, Buddha Jones, while the film itself is being cut together at the studio. Since the edited film does not exist at this point, the trailer editors work from rushes or dailies. Thus, the trailer may contain footage that is not in the final movie, or the trailer editor and the film editor may use different takes of a particular shot. Another common technique is including music on the trailer which does not appear on the movie's soundtrack. This is nearly always a requirement, as trailers and teasers are created long before the composer has even been hired for the film score, sometimes as much as a year ahead of the movie's release date, while composers are usually the last creative people to work on the film. Trailers tell the story of a film in a highly condensed fashion to have maximum appeal. In the decades since film marketing has become a large industry, trailers have become highly polished pieces of advertising, able to present even poor movies in an attractive light. The key ambition in trailer making is to impart an intriguing story that gets film audiences emotionally involved. Most trailers have a 3-act structure similar to a feature-length film. They start with a beginning Act 1 that lays out the premise of the story. The middle Act 2 drives the story further and usually ends with a dramatic climax. Act 3 usually features a strong piece of signature music, either a recognizable song or a powerful sweeping orchestral piece. This last act often consists of a visual montage of powerful and emotional moments of the film and may also contain a cast run if there are noteworthy stars that could help sell the movie. The feature movie trailer. Watch the Clayface trailer 2. Leave your thoughts on the Clayface trailer 2 below in the comment section. View here the first Clayface trailer. Readers seeking to support this type of content can visit our Patreon page and become one of Filmbook's patrons. Readers seeking more movie trailers can visit our movie trailer page, our movie trailer Twitter page, our movie trailer Reddit page, and our movie trailer Facebook page. Clayface will be released in US theaters through Warner Brothers. On October 23, 2026, want up-to-the-minute notifications? Filmbook staff members publish articles by email, mobile app, Google News, Apple News, Feedly, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, Reddit, Telegram, Mastodon, Flipboard, Bluesky and Threads. Clayface 2026 Trailer 2, related articles, Roloso Tomasi, Facebook, X, Flickr, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok. Number 4, horror in the DCU, Clayface 2026 movie preview. This will not be your typical film experience. A shapeless nightmare of clay and flesh is making its way onto the big screen. Another Batman adversary finally steps into the spotlight. Clayface is getting his own movie. Following Superman and the upcoming Supergirl, Clayface is the third film in James Gunn's new DCU. We will tell you all the exciting details known so far and why this project is anything but ordinary. DC villains take center stage. In recent years, DC has shown that heroes are not the only ones who can deliver exciting stories. Anti-heroes are increasingly taking center stage in both movies and series. Most notably, Joker told the story of a true villain and did so with massive success. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey also focus on rather unconventional characters, while series like Peacemaker and The Penguin have proven especially popular as well. Who is Clayface? With Clayface, another classic DC villain finally gets his time to shine, but let's be honest, fans might be familiar with the character, but for many moviegoers, the name is unlikely to ring a bell. So what exactly is this character all about? Clayface has his comic origins in the 1940s. Since then, there have been several versions with different real names and origin stories. However, all incarnations are opponents of Batman. Clayface has the ability to change his shape at will. These powers make him a dangerous and unpredictable adversary in battle. Additionally, he can perfectly impersonate other people, allowing him to carry out his sinister plans by cunning and trickery. According to initial information, the story of the film will focus on the second Clayface, named Matt Hagen. He is a failed actor whose face is disfigured by a gangster. For this reason, he turns to a scientist in hopes of restoring his normal appearance. But the treatment fails. Exposure to an experimental chemical turns the protagonist into a monster. Behind the scenes, over the years, Clayface has been reimagined multiple times in comics, animated series, and video games. Now, director James Watkins and screenwriters Mike Flanagan and Hossein Amini are developing their own version. The previous projects by Watkins and Flanagan give us a hint as to the direction their interpretation might take. Both filmmakers primarily work within the horror genre. Watkins has directed movies such as Speak No Evil starring James McAvoy and The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe. Meanwhile, horror expert Flanagan has made a name for himself with movies like Doctor Sleep and a number of hit series including The Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass. Clayface is being produced by the Batman mastermind Matt Reeves, among others. However, it appears there was some dissatisfaction behind the scenes with Mike Flanagan's initial draft of the screenplay. According to entertainment outlet The Wrap, Hossein Amini has been brought in to revise the script. Among other projects, Amini previously penned the screenplay for the acclaimed crime thriller Drive the Cast. The lead role is played by Tom Rhys-Harris. Until now, the actor has mostly been seen in supporting roles. For example, he was part of the cast of Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman and also appeared in the Apple TV Plus series Suspicion. The scientist Dr. Caitlin Bates is a newly created character for the film. She is played by Naomi Ackie. According to early information, her character is the CEO of a startup. Her fiancé John, on the other hand, is a detective portrayed by actor Max Minghella. Also part of the cast is the well-known supporting actor Eddie Marzan. a horror film in the DCU. In comparison to the other films in the DCU, James Gunn said that Clayface will be something completely different. He believes it is important that not every movie follows the style of Superman. Instead, Gunn prefers to work with various filmmakers who bring distinct visions to his DCU projects. This helps ensure that the audience won't get bored with the same old approach. Clayface is even supposed to be a genuine horror film. That's why we are especially curious about the perspective from which the movie will be told. Will we stay close to the villain and experience a tragic story similar to Joker? But then, how will the horror aspect work if there is no scary threat from the outside? There is already a clue about the filmmaker's vision. The movie is said to be reminiscent of David Cronenberg's body horror classic, The Fly. That story primarily explores how the gradual transformation of one's body slowly turns someone into a monster, both physically and psychologically. We witness not only the villain's story but also that of the people around him, in the case of Clayface, presumably the scientist and the detective. We believe the character will only fully become the familiar monster towards the end of the film. This could also explain why Batman is unlikely to appear in the story, at least not yet. Clayface does sound like a bold experiment for the superhero genre. We are eagerly looking forward to seeing what really awaits us in the end. The movie is scheduled to hit theaters on September 11, 2026. Number 5, Clayface, Celebrity Dirt. DC Today announced Clayface, Celebrity Dirt, a new Batman Universe noir horror comic book miniseries starring Basil Carlo in a twisted tale of fame, transformation, and self-destruction. The 6-issue series follows the classic Batman villain as he escapes Arkham Towers, ready to stage his comeback, only to discover that someone else has stolen his name, his face, and his long-lost stardom, acclaimed horror writer Jude Ellison S. Doyle teams with artist Fran Galan, colorist Patricio Delpeche, and letterer Tom Napolitano on Clayface. Celebrity Dirt for a story that balances body horror, the studio spotlight, and Gotham City noir. Galan's expressive and unsettling artwork brings Clayface's shape-shifting terror to life, while Doyle explores the fractured psychology of a villain who can become anyone but still struggles to face himself. Clayface. Celebrity Dirt blends psychological suspense, body horror, and dark satire into a story only Basil Carlo could star in, a cinematic nightmare where neon fame curdles even the most carefully sculpted facade. Clayface. Celebrity Dirt won main cover art by Fran Galan. This new DC comic book series explores the duality at the heart of Clayface, the billboard-sized glamour Basil Carlo still craves and the grotesquerie he can never escape. Galan brings that contrast to life with bold visuals that swing between Hollywood sheen and theatrical horror, grounding the story in noir shadows while pushing Clayface's powers into visceral, unsettling territory. Clayface, Celebrity Dirt digs into the legacy of the Clayfaces and the long shadow Basil Carlo has cast over the DC universe. As Basil confronts a doppelganger who has achieved everything he ever wanted, the series examines fame, self-reinvention, and the price of trying to control the way the world sees you. Doyle and Galan pull the story between spotlight bright glamour and sewer slick horror, revealing the toll of transformation and the danger of chasing the version of yourself you wish you were. Basil Carlo is one of the most beautifully flawed and human characters in the Batman universe, said Doyle. He can become anybody he wants, but he can never escape himself. He looks perfect when the cameras are on him, but he's a disintegrating mess behind the scenes. When Basil Carlo breaks out of Arkham, he's ready to reclaim the Hollywood crown he lost years ago. But the world he returns to is stranger than ever. A creeping new plague is twisting ordinary citizens into clay-warped reflections of his own nightmares, and a charismatic body double has taken over Basil's life, becoming a bigger movie star than the real Basil ever was. As a disturbing pattern begins to emerge around this new celebrity, Basil must confront the darkest parts of his past and trace both mysteries to their source. His search leads him deep into the history of the Clayface family and face-to-face with one of its most dangerously unstable members. Clayface, Celebrity Dirt won interior art by Fran Galan and Patricio Delpeche. Clayface, Celebrity Dirt won interior art by Fran Galan and Patricio Delpeche. Anchored in noir atmosphere, Clayface, Celebrity Dirt draws inspiration from psychological horror, body horror cinema, and the unsettling glamour of dark thrillers. The series pays tribute to classic Clayface stories while pushing the character into bold new territory, exploring what a true reckoning looks like in a world where fame and monstrosity blur together. By giving Basil the fame he's always wanted, or giving someone that fame anyway, we were able to tell a story about accountability, redemption, and how to tell the difference between somebody who's actually trying to change for the better and someone who's using their celebrity to get away with murder, continued Doyle. I loved getting to spend time with Basil, and I really hope his fans will enjoy the series. What I love most about Jude's script is the duality between the real and the fake, the beautiful and the macabre, said Galan. It is an absolute gift to draw. Clayface. Celebrity Dirtiest One features a main cover by Fran Galan with variant covers by Mike Del Mundo and Dave Johnsons. Patricio Delpeche colors the series with Tom Napolitano lettering. The 32-page debut issue arrives July 8, 2026, priced at $3. 99 US for the main cover, with cardstock variants available for $4.99 US. For readers who crave horror with theatrical flair, this is Clayface as he's never been seen before, a tale where glamour fractures, monstrosity spreads, and every spotlight casts a darker shadow. Clayface, Celebrity Dirt 1 variant cover art by Mike Del Mundo and Dave Johnson. For updates on Gotham City set series featuring Clayface, shape-shifting doppelgangers, monstrous body horror, and the dangerous allure of notoriety, follow DC on social media or visit DC.com. The DC Universe Infinite Digital Subscription Platform, DCUI, is a great way to explore classic Clayface stories and discover new comics every week. For details and a free trial, visit DCUniverseinfinite.com. DCUI is not available in all countries and is not intended for children. More DC news and features. Gotham Gazette, Caped Crusader proves why Batman needs a Robin, even if he won't admit it. Weekend Escape Boy of Steel is a modern take on Clark's Superboy era. House of Listery Architect of Justice. 5 things you didn't know about Jon Stewart. The DC shields gods and kneels before Zords. Exclusive interview Rob Justice recruits Superman's good guy gang. DC Studios' The Lantern Stars shine a light on their Rushville residents. Weekend Escape the Gorilla World takes you back to yesterday's tomorrow. House of List area of core importance. 5 comics to read before watching Lanterns. Summer of Supergirl, who is Matrix Supergirl. Super here for the real strength of Superman. Start, stop, finish, pulling the trigger on 100 bullets. Weekend Escape the fight against crime grows up in Batman Static Beyond. Exclusive interview together at last. Kami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo say goodbye to the Teen Titans. Press release DC celebrates the legacy of Joe Kubert on his centennial. House of List Airy Power sells DC's 8 greatest prison stories.